Hello everyone, this is Alex Lee. Today I want to talk about our Katoku Shears Sharpening guide. I have a few videos about the setting of this sharpening guide, but this one is the 2022 version, and I thought it's about time to shoot a new video about it to put some update information on it. Although most of the function is about the same, but I like to shoot a new video about it. So anyway, so yes, again, so this is the video about how to set the setting of this Katoku Shears Sharpening guide. So first, I want to talk about this portion first. This is the connector to the Katoku machine that has this style of the track. If you don't have this track, and then you cannot use this style of the Katoku guide. If you have the older version of the Katoku sharpening machine and you wish to use this guide, and what you can do is, contact me, and then I will send you the guide. I mean, when you upgrade to this guide, and will send you a track and also the new guide altogether, so that you can take out the original track that is on your machine and replace it with the new track, so that it will fit into this connection right here. So this one right here, you can just simply slide on like that, and as you can see, it's very easy to go from side to side, very easy. And this knot right here, once you tighten this down, this will lock in the position so that it will not move. Okay, and so that's how you slide it on. And so this is this portion, and the rest right here is the joints, and all the joints here has ball bearing pivot, so you will have no problem having a smooth pivoting action, but this arm right here, and it, because of the ball bearing pivoting, also that has almost zero side movement on the guide. Okay, so once you put it on, you tie this down, you almost have no side movement at all. You have no side movement at all. Okay, so very accurate. Okay, and then the next thing I want to talk about is this right here. Okay, this portion right here is, once you loosen this up, this ring right here, then you can slide this shaft forward and backward. This portion right here has, is advantage of how you want the weight to be. If you set it all the way back, then this one will naturally weight it down from behind. And sure, if you move it all the way forward, then the weight will be all the way in the front. So what I suggest you is, once you have this guy on the track, you will first set this position so that you will feel that, okay, that's kind of weight distribution that I like, how I like the weight to be. You can set a little bit more forward, that way when this one approaching your sharpening machine, then it can comes down straight down onto the hole instead of come down on an angle. When the scissors coming down on the angle, that's very easy to damage your scissors. No matter angle is going this way or this way. You're hitting this way, is very easy to damage this part. Sure, if you're going this way, it's very easy to damage this part. So ideally your scissor approaching the sharpening machine is like coming down flat like that. So setting this weight, I think, is important. Okay, and everybody is different, so that's why this one is adjustable. Again, you're losing this up, so you can adjust this, and you lock this down, then it will fix in position. This one right here, you don't really adjust it often. You just leave it pretty much at one spot, you know, most of the time. And sometimes if you want to gain more distance between your guy and the hole, yes, you can adjust. You can loosen this up and move all the way to the back. You can gain more distance between the hole. Do you need to do that often? No, but then again, there's sometimes you need to for sharpening some very long scissors. Not necessary for hair cutting scissors. Sometimes maybe for fabric scissors or for other kind of scissors. Okay, so this is this ring. Now, and I talk about this right here. This angle adjustment, the bolt, the tighten bolt, the fastening bolt. This one right here for the 2022 version, you will have two of this bolt available. Let me get the other one so I can show it to you. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so when you're getting the 2022 sharpening die, you will have some extra parts, which is another adjusting bolt, and also the extra Teflon tip that goes on to where you fastening the scissors. But we'll talk about that later. Okay, we'll set that aside. Now we're talking about this one right here. You have your options to using this pin on one right hand side or the left hand side. Depends on how you know, like it. But sure, also that you can do that on both sides. Why do we want to do that? It is because some sharpeners may have heavy hand, and then they worry about once the angle is locked down, when they have a heavy hand, they may have a chance to move the angle. So when you have two of this bolt tightened down, then you literally have no chance this angle setting will move. Okay, we will get into the angle setting in just a minute. Okay, so we will talk about that in just a minute. So we just go ahead and leave this in. Okay, so this is the tension, the angle setting bolt. Okay, and this right here, okay, this right here, this ring right here is setting for the angle setting ring. And when you look at this angle setting ring, at the back of it, this little hole right here has a very small hack screw in it. It's a very small one. When you adjust that hack screw, you will increase or decrease the friction of this ring. So this ring will not be going free spinning when you increase the friction. So what does that mean is once you move this ring to the ideal angle, they will try to stay on the angles until you tighten this down. Instead of the last couple of versions of our Katoku guy or some other guys on the market, that this ring has no adjustable friction, so they just keep free spinning. So instead now I have added this little hack screw right here so that you can adjust the friction. You know, you like to tighten it down a little more until you think that, you know, stable enough. Then, you know, you just set it in, you know, certain tension or friction. Okay, so okay, now that's that, and this is where you clamp your scissors in. Okay, all right, and then now we're gonna go on learning how to set the angles for this guy. So put this on. And I want to tighten this so it will not be moving. So in angle setting, we will go first thing first. We will first set the scissor onto the clamp right here first. In angle setting, the flat side of the scissors, not the outside, the flat side, which is the inside of the scissors, always go against this side of the wall, the outside of the wall. In other words, if I'm using not the flat side of the scissors against the outside of the wall, then the angle setting would not be correct. So the first thing first is, no matter right hand scissors, left hand scissors, it doesn't matter. You just use the flat side of it against outside of the wall and tighten this down. Okay, you want to tighten this down, make sure it's not slipping on you. Okay, so this step number one. Step number two is to, if you're sharpening right hand scissors, on the angle setting ring right here, you're looking for the marker with the R on it. R stands for right hand scissors. And then the R will work with the set of numbering on top of the R. So there's two rows of numbers here, R number and L number. The marker with R work with the row of numbers with the R, which is, if I'm moving the R pointer right here, I'm pointing at one mark next to the 45, which is 50 degrees. If I have two marks over, which is the 55 degrees, 55 and 60, 65 and 70 and 75, and so on. Okay. And then we go to the other side, that will be the other side of the 45 will be 40, 35, 30, 25. So let's say if I set it on 50, if I set this guy on 50, so now I can tighten down one of the bolts. I would tighten down one of the bolts. Okay. Again, you have option to use the bolt on the left, on the right, or you can use both bolts. Okay. One thing I want to talk about is this bolt right here is steel, and the body of this guy is aluminum. When you have this new, when you use the steel, compress it into aluminum, sometime it will create some scar in the aluminum, so that when you try to tie down the angle, sometimes it may have some micro movement on you. So it's a little bit of shift, but not much. You talk about just a hair shift. But if that happens, you just use this hand to hold on to it, just to make sure it's in position, and then tie this down. Once this is tied down, then you will probably has created a little bit micro scar inside the aluminum body. But anyway, so now with this R setting at 50 degrees. Now what I need to do next is turn this right here, and then line up the top row number, the top row marker R, lining up with the bottom R. If this R and this top R and the bottom R is lining up, that means this scissors right here is lined up at 50 degrees. So when you are setting this scissor down on your machine, this scissors will be at 50 degrees angle. That you will not be able to go over it, but you can go backward. You can go backward so that you can do what we're talking about, Japanese style sharpening, convexing, but you can never go forward. Okay, so that's how you set the angle for right hand scissors. So in freehand sharpening, this is how we sharpen. This is freehand sharpening. When I design my guiding system, I want to make sure one thing is I was still able to perform a freehand sharpening while I don't worry about the angles is inconsistent. So what does that mean is now when you have this guiding system, you don't worry about the angle will change, but you can still perform the freehand sharpening. So this is the guided freehand sharpening. Instead of the guiding system tell you what to do with your sharpening, I want you to have a freedom to control your work, and you have a freedom to control your flow. But the guiding system will help you to make sure your edge angle will be consistent from the front to the throat. From the tip to the throat will have only one angle. Will not be have a wavery angle, because when you do freehand, there's a lot of chance you can go over or go under. Okay, so we want to make sure you have one angle setting, and then you can perform the freehand sharpening. Okay, so I will do that one more time just to refresh your memory. So step number one is to take one side of the scissors and using the inside of it, which is the flat side of it, go against this side of the wall and tighten this down. When you tighten this down, go ahead and use a little force and make sure they're not going anywhere. And then after that, the next thing is finding the marker on the bottom ring with the R, and then set it onto the angles that you want. For the right hand scissor, using the R marker along with the R rows of the number with the R on the top row right here. See, the number on the bottom row is with the L. Okay, instead of a left hand scissor. We ignore it now. So right now you just pay attention on the top row, which is the R, the number with the R at the back of it. So right now the pointer is pointing at one marker next to 45, which is 50 degrees. What if I want to go between the 50 and 55? Then I set the marker between two markers. okay? And then I tighten this down. When you try to tie this down, you can use one hand to hold on to the ring, and then you tie this down. You can tie the bolts on the right or on the left. You can use either one or use both of them. You use both of them, will increase the weight, but if you know how you like to handle the guy, then you will just put it on the side that you like. Again, if you know that you have heavy hand, if you don't trust yourself, then you can use 2 bolts, which is okay. So right now the bottom of the marker have set it between the 50 and 55. So you imagine that's like probably around 57 degrees, okay? We don't go to the increment by 1 degree or 2 degrees. We go by the increment of 5 degrees, okay? So now, after the bottom marker have set, the next thing you have to do is to find the top marker with the R, line up with the bottom marker. Now, this scissors has set on the degree between 55 and 50 to 55 degrees, which is probably around 57. But what if the top row, the top marker is not lined up? If it's not lined up with the bottom, and then you see the R show up on the top all the way over here, it's not lining up with the bottom, then you know this angle is incorrect. Do not proceed your sharpening when you do that, when you see that. Make sure you go 1 complete circle back to here so that 2R will line up. And then when you do that, you put your thumb here, where we have this ergonomic thumb position right here. The rest of fingers holding like this. And then you can perform the guided freehand sharpening. And that is why we want to have a smooth side to side action sharpening track. I mean the sharpening guide track. Because you want to move from side to side. You want to move from side to side. You do not want to just like this. When you do like going like this, the radius is much rounder. When you go like this, it's much flatter. When you go flat like this, the edge in general will be sharper. Okay, so you want to go from one side to the other side. But again, you were not able to go over it. Okay, so this is how you set the angle for the right hand scissors. Now, we will go on and show you how to set the angle for the left hand scissors. Once you know how to set the right hand scissors, actually setting the left hand scissors is just as easy. So, we talked about that earlier. No matter what scissors, make sure the flat side of the scissors go against the outside of the wall. No matter right hand shears or left hand shears, I don't care. As long as the inside of the scissors go against this side of the wall, and then you tighten it. Now you probably will see the actual cutting edge is facing upward instead of downward, but do not worry. As long as you don't cut yourself, then you don't worry. Then we ignore that. We go to the bottom right here. Now we find a marker with the L. L stands for left hand shears. We go to the bottom and find the L. Now we want to use the L along with the numbers on the bottom row with the L. And using the bottom pointer, the marker, to to point it at the desired angle. which is now in this case is the 50 degree of the L, which is one marker left to the 45. If it's one marker right to the 45, just like when we're setting for the right hand scissors, then will become 40 degrees. Are you following? Right hand shears and left hand shears is the exact opposite angle. So now we're finding the L marker pointing at 50 degrees using the bottom row of the number, and then you tighten down the bolt. Again, when you first have this guy, you might probably need a little help to make sure the angles doesn't do the micro shift on you, but that doesn't happen often. Just in the first few setting. Once the scar has created inside the aluminum body, then should be pretty easy to adjust. But anyway, again, you can set on this bowl right here or this bowl right here. As long as they're set, then the bottom is not movable. Now we go on the top row right here, the marker. We look for the marker with the L and line up the marker with the L on top to the bottom marker. Now this scissors right here is setting at 50 degrees to the sharpening machine. But you can still rotate backward to do the convexing. So what you do is, instead of putting your thumb here, now you see this position right here. You see this position right here. Instead of putting your thumb here, now you're putting your thumb position right here. Now, so that you can sharpen it and do that. Sometimes it's not a bad idea to use another hand to stabilize your hand, especially when you're sharpening left-hand scissors, because you are not, as good as doing the right-hand shears if you're a right-handed person. So sometimes doing the left-hand scissors takes a little practice, okay? But one thing that you don't need to worry is the angle. You will not have a chance to go over, but you can still freely move from side to side to do the convexing sharpening. Okay, sure, can I use the left hand to do the work? Sure. If you're left-handed, that's very good, but most of us as right-handed, we will prefer to use the right hand to do the left-hand shears. Instead of putting your thumb here, then you don't have the leverage. But when you put a thumb here, then now you have the leverage. That's why you see you have a thumb position here and also thumb position here. Okay. Same thing. It's the same setting again. Okay. So that's how you set the left-hand scissors. Again, I will do one more time. I know this is really long video, but I want to take my time to explain exactly how to set the angles. Once you know how to set the angles, things become very automatic. So again, first use the flat side of the scissors, go against the outside of the wall, and then you tighten this down. Then you go to the bottom marker here using the L marker, move to the angles that you want. In this case, now we want to move between, again, 55, between 50 and 55. okay, and then locked it down. See, you see the benefit of having bolts on the right side or the left side. Sometimes I feel like I'm using the left hand to tighten this down. Sometimes I feel like using the right hand to tighten this down. But, or if I know that I will always use my left hand to do it easier for me, I will just take this down to reduce the weight. Or, reverse. I always feel like I use the right hand to tighten this down better. Then you take out the left one to reduce the weight. Or, again, you can keep both of them in. All right, now the bottom marker has set. And then now it's not going anywhere. It's not moving. Now we find the top marker with the L lining up with the bottom. Now this scissors is set at between the 50 and 55. Now you know this angle will not change on you. Again, you have the freedom to go backward, to go do the convexing, but you don't worry about messing up your edge angle. Okay? When you put your thumb here, it's not as good as putting your thumb here when you're doing the left-handed shears, because you have better leverage when you do that. It's more ergonomic. Allow this to move is one of the special thing about Katoku guy. Again, Katoku Shears Sharpening guy is try to make it just like how you should sharpen with freehand sharpening style. Okay? Alright, so this is how you will set the angle of the Katoku Shears Sharpening guy. And this one here is a Teflon tip, and this will wear out from for usage. When this one is worn out, then this one you can replace it. When both of them worn out, you need to replace more. You can go to my website, shearslogic.com, shears with the S, and then logic.com. Shearslogic.com. You will see the under the sharpening supplies. You can get more of these plastic tip to replace it, for replacing this. Okay. Again, in your new guide will come with 2 sets of this and 1 extra of this. Okay. All right. If you have any question, please feel free to message me and to let me know. And this is how we set the guide for the Katoku Shears Sharpening Guide of 2022. Thank you.